Yo, welcome back. So I'm gonna go over a handful of things here. I've written down 10 things that I personally need to see changed in the game, right? Like there's more than that, but there's 10 things that I put together that is like the top of the top when it comes to certain like issues with the game, right? In my opinion at least. And this is just my opinion, right? But let's go over it as quick as we can. Some of these things do need a little bit of explanation, certainly because some people watching the videos might not have played PoE 1, so they don't actually understand exactly how the systems used to work and what they can do to change it, right? So, but let's start from the beginning here, because there's a glaring problem that's been a problem since day one that the game came out, which is the server stability. And literally, like, I cannot believe I'm still screaming this off the top of my lungs, that we have to be able to actually play the game without getting desynced, without getting disconnected, without having to lag so bad you can't see what's happening, without having to fucking deal with loading times that's impossibly long. All this shit just, it that needs to be the main focus, because how the fuck are we supposed to test mechanics and stuff like that if we can't even really play the game, right? Like, that is just, it's unbelievable to me that I'm still pointing this out. This is number one, and I put these 10 things in order, so this is like my number one thing that we need to fucking fix. This thing is so bad in terms of stability that I cannot believe that, and I'm talking from a perspective of a decently high-end computer. If you're talking for anyone playing on a console or playing on a Mac system, brother, I feel you guys, because you are having an even harder time than I am. And I can't even imagine how bad that must feel. And I'm sad to say that there's a lot of people not talking about this. So this is my number one issue at the moment. All right. Number two is letting more different arcs be good or be meta, right? So if we go look at season one, or like the game when the game came out, it was Spark, it was lightning skills in general. Spark, lightning arrow was really really good. There was a lot of good skills, but the meta per se was lightning, pretty much so. Then we get Dawn of the Hunt. Yet again, it's lightning that is dominating everything basically, right? Like, you can play other stuff, but it's just not gonna be equally as good as lightning was. And for me, I'm getting a little bit worn out on having to play a lightning build. I can kind of give you the example here, right? Like, if we go look through lightning build, this was a cold build, but this got nerfed into the ground. But this is like, that was the better version basically, right? Then we had a poison build once that worked really really sick. That was super nice. This has been absolutely murdered. This is a lightning, 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 lightning. That's a chaos build. That's a minion build. This is a support build. Then we have lightning, lightning. Then we have a support build. Then we have actually something completely different there. That's at least one. The warriors didn't. Well, that's not even true, because one of the best warrior like, and that's another thing. We'll get to that. But one of the best warrior builds at the moment is again lightning, right? Like, on, yeah, it's this is a lightning build, and this is a support build. That is an overabundance of the lightning archetype. I would like to see more fire, more cold, chaos, whatever, right? Like, something else gets to get the day, like the shine of the day. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean they have to nerf lightning skills into the ground so none of them work. It just means, like, please try and give some other archetypes, or like, give them their time in the limelight. Let's have fun with something else than lightning. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not. It's just, it's sad as shit, man. Now, next up is adding some more flavor to certain ascendancies that's basically lacking or like has been nerfed so bad that it's just not necessarily good to play anymore. And I wrote down Pathfinder as the first one because this used to be a really, really good play, a really, really good play style using the concoctions. You could use a bow and then you could have a quiver. Now they removed the ability to do that, so you have to be unarmed, and that kind of like it just took a lot away from that build. I feel like it just does not feel anywhere near as good as it used to. I don't think that nerf was necessary. I think you should be able to, like, you're telling me you can't run around with a bow in your hand and then throw a bottle. That makes no freaking sense to me. It doesn't. It doesn't quite compute with me. I do understand that that's not the way it works in PoE 1, but just I don't understand why the fuck we can't do that. I don't know. Um, I really, really like this. I used to really play around with this, and I loved it. It was so fun, and it's unplayable now in my opinion. It's not unplayable, but it's just really fucking bad in comparison to what it used to be. Then we have the Acolyte of Tula. Again, I think the changes they did was good because they showed they're willing to change some stuff. Did the changes hit in the way they should? I don't think so. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 builds that you can play on this, and then it's. I saw the build of the week with it. That's extremely slow and like, you know what I mean, and it's just never gonna hit the meta, right? Because that is just too underperforming. I could say, like, I don't know what to say about this. It's just not hitting the spot at the moment. Then I wrote down the Stormweaver. So the Stormweaver was my first ever build that I made on PoE 2, and back then I was playing a cold build with the cast on freeze with comets, and that shit was super fun, right? And they got nerfed immediately. Um, and thinking about how bad some of the other stuff afterwards were, I don't feel like that nerf was necessary. There was other things that was way worse, right? I think they should have waited a little bit longer and then let people find some more stuff. And then if they wanted to nerf a bunch of shit, okay, but at least leave it so it's still playable. Don't bury it to the point where it's unplayable. That's sad. And I feel like they've kind of done that with the Stormweaver in some way. That's just not great, man. It's just not great. On the other hand, I would say the Chronomancer is still up to par. It's a really, 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 really exceptionally good group play archetype. If you want to play Cursebird, for instance, which is what I did with my Chronomancer. This is a curse bot that just basically curses everything. However, there is some bugs with it right now, so they need to fix that as well, where you can't actually use the curses for some fucking reason. I don't even know why. It just says that it's missing this, like the Blasphemy is missing the skills. I can't even explain how that functions, but yeah, it's a problem, I guess. But there's other bells you can play with it that's really, really good, high damage, all this stuff. So if I had to compare the two, the Stormweaver is by far like one of the worst archetypes at the moment, just in general, I would say. And then last but not least, I wrote down the Witch Hunter because they did change the Witch Hunter, and the new changes is super, super sick. I really love the fact that you could technically play 2 builds. There's one issue with it, though, is you can't play 2 builds. You get the skill points to the Atlas points on your Atlas tree to play 2 builds. You don't have the skill slots to play 2 builds. Does that make sense? So what they need to do, in my opinion, is if you pick I'll jump on it real quick so you guys can kind of see what I mean when I say that they need to change this just a little bit. All right, so if we go to the tree here, we have this point right here. 100 passive skill points becomes weapon set points, right? So you have 100 points up here, 124 points instead of the 24 points or whatever it is normally. Now, that being said, the idea is super sick, right? Like the idea is really, really, really cool. I love the idea of being able to kind of play two archetypes at the exact same time. That idea feels good to me. But the biggest issue with it is, how am I meant to fit in? Let's say I wanted to play with a crossbow and a mace. How am I meant to fit in any mace skills when I don't, like, there's legitimately not room for it. Do you see what I mean? This is all crossbow skills. They all go together and they all make the build function. And without, I can't take any of them out, right? Because then the build doesn't function right. Or at least I don't feel like it functions right. So here is my option. There's two ways to go about this. Either you double the amount of skills that you can add here, or even better, in my opinion, is, you know how we have the used weapon set, right? I feel like when you take that point that gives you 100 extra weapon skill points, you remove the ability to press this specific set right here, where you choose which one it uses, and instead it becomes 2 pages. So you have weapon set 1 and weapon set 2, and you press it up here, for instance, right? And you can like swap between the two, and depending on which weapon you're using, it'll automatically swap the tree and the passive tree to that specific weapon. Otherwise, this node is kind of completely pointless in my opinion. There's no reason to try and make a dual build, because you can't actually fit the skills needed to do it. So it's an exceptionally good idea in my opinion, but it just doesn't function in reality because of the lack of skill. And you can put 2 rings on. I could put the rings that gives me an extra skill slot here, but that is not enough. 2 extra skill slots is not gonna make me play on a maze, right? Like I'm just not. That's never gonna happen. So for that reason, I really feel like that's the part that would be super nice. Is if you take that point, you get this weapon set 1 and 2 as pages here, and then you have 1 page for like full of skills, that's for weapon set 1, and then the other page is full of skills for weapon set 2. If they do it like that, it would function 100 times better, and you would actually be able to play a spell build, spellcaster build, for instance, with a mace, or a bow build with like an axe, right? Like that. It's just, at the moment that's not possible because of how limited you are with the skills and the number of skills you can add. Next up, I put give us a button, right? So if we had a button, if you go to options and you go to game, and like you have auto equipped and disable tutorial, you know what I mean? And you can just click that and it just works. Please give us one that says Delirium doesn't add any grayscale, or like it doesn't mute the colors on this. So you can just freely choose if you want to be able to play the game without the Delirium fog, or if you don't mind it, that's fine. You can just not click the button, right? Like that's what I feel like we need to do here, because currently playing the end game where every map is delirious, it's so bad. It looks horrendous, and over time it's so bad to look at that you get really like bored, and I just stopped playing with delirious maps because it ruins my currency gain, but it gives me pleasure because I can see the game in its full beauty, right? And it just, I don't understand why we didn't have a button to just turn that shit off. That would literally solve everything, because then the people who like it can keep it, the people who hate it can disable it, and that way they can probably get the numbers and see if it's 99% of people that disables the visuals of it. Now you know that is just not something that's gonna fly, and you can then physically change it in a way that actually makes more sense. That would be my solution to that problem, because it is a problem and a lot of people don't like it, me included. I absolutely hate it. I think it looks terrible. I would say even in PoE 1 it looks kind of terrible. But I can live with it in PoE 1 because everything is a lot faster, and it's less time spent in there and looking at it and shit. So, all right. So On the tactician, we had a major change, which were that we used to have something called valor, and this valor mechanic, you gain the valor, and then as you gain the valor, you were able to plant your banner. And honestly, even with the maxed out, absolutely cannot get more, because they changed it now, right? Like, so it's no longer valor, but now you have to get glory instead. And as you'll see right here, it requires 200 glory to use, and then you have to accumulate the 200 glory in order to put down the banner. So if I put that down and you look here, this is like this little yellow line that goes around. That's how long it takes for me to recoup the 200. And this is with the Durazzo's Passion. This is with a tree that's fully spec'd into it, right? Glory generation on everything, everywhere. Even on the gems or the jeweled glory generation on everything. It cannot, I've maxed that shit out to the point where you cannot get any more glory generation per second. And I'm still not able to plant a banner and then plant another one afterwards. It's impossible. I have to wait. Oh, I can plant one. Wait, plant one. That is just, I don't understand why the fuck that is a thing. They completely and utterly gutted my build here, which is one of my absolute favorite builds from before. And the problem with it is I used to use this armor. I built the entire build around this armor because this armor has this one line right here, which says banners always has maximum valor. And what that meant was when I had that on, I could place the banners back to 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 back constantly all the time. What that means is when you're playing in a group setting is you can run, basically I could place my banner, and then immediately after we go out the circle I placed another one, and immediately after going out the circle we place another one, and we could keep going like that, right? Now there's only one banner that I ever really used when we're running, which is the Defiance banner, because it adds more armor, evasion, and movement speed, so that's a safety like piece, right? That helps everybody stay alive, and it helps us move around the map faster. So that was super nice during Dawn of the Hunt, and then they changed this shit, and now it's unplayable in my opinion. It's so bad, and the other two banners I only use on a boss. So those two doesn't really matter if they load slow, right? Because I'm only gonna put them down here and there when we run into a Delirium boss or we run into whatever boss, right? Like then I'll put them down, and then it doesn't matter if it's like a 10-15 second wait till you can put them down again. It doesn't matter. But it does matter for the one that actually is the main one, which you want to use all the time. I don't get it. I think they should revoke this change completely back to what it was. There's no fucking point in having a mechanic that you can't actually play, right? Like, you can use these banners if you're an attack build, then it doesn't matter nearly as much. But if you are building around a group setting and you want to play a support build, this is impossible to play now. It just does not feel good to play. And you're not going to feature this build on Build of the Week, and then you're going to nerf it into the ground. So it's too good to be on Build of the Week, and it needs to get nerfed. Is that how I'm supposed to understand it? It can't even do damage. It does 0 damage. How the fuck can it be too good? You know what I mean? Like, that just makes no sense to me. It makes 0 sense to me. Alright, so next up, what I want to talk about here is Warrior. Although the Warrior through the campaign is amazing. It's absolutely incredible. It does tons of damage with certain skills. That's all awesome. My problem is that once you get to endgame, there's really only 1 or 2 skills in general on a warrior that you would want to play, which is Stampede or Shield Whirl. And given that we have how many skills to choose from, right? Like, the fact that none of these other skills perform as well as those, like, well enough to where you want to constantly play them. Well, there was a totem build, right? Like, that's besides the point right now, but there was a totem build that was okay, and we have the Warcry build that's kind of okay, but it's just not nowhere near any of the meta builds. It just does not. Well, Stampede is kind of in that category, but the rest of them, I don't feel like is anywhere near where they should be. I feel like they're lagging like speed, they're lagging mobility, they're lagging damage on some parts, they're lacking like just a lot of what I would call like player agency, or like I just don't feel like they perform like that well, and it's sad because if you want to play a warrior, technically, to be fair, you wouldn't be playing warrior skills. Now the warrior archetype is great to play other skills from other archetypes, right? So if I were to play a warrior, I would play spear skills, I would play even crossbow skills maybe, I would probably play a lot of other stuff, but the warrior skills. That's the ones I don't want to play. I do not want to play any of these because I just don't feel like they're good. And mind you, I've tried so many things with this shit, and it's not fun, man. It feels painful. I don't like to play stuff that feels painful. So for that reason, I feel like we need some kind of fixes to the warrior skills, some kind of changes that makes more of them in line with what Stampede is. Because Stampede is the one that we've had since day one. Corn plated day one, right? Yeah, corn plated day one. But he played it in a way where technically, if you were to look at it, the Ice Strike Invoker was the same effect, but just way better. Right, like faster, more survivable, all these things, and it makes no sense to me. Like, why would you ever want to play something that's so bad when, like, not so bad, but that is way worse than what we have for other archetypes, right? I would even play, I would play the quarterstaff skills over playing mace skills, right? I think the mace skills is ass, and that's just my personal opinion. You might have a different opinion, and that's okay, but I personally won't play mace skills again. I play them, and I'm done with them, right? If we back out to my character selection screen here real quick, this is my attempt to make, well, this is not attempt, sorry. This is the attempt to make one of the least used, like one of the lesser used warrior skills viable enough to play the end game, and it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. I don't like it. This is a warrior that uses a crossbow because it's, you know, better. This is the Warcry warrior. This is the one warrior that I've played that I kind of like, and I still kind of like, and I feel like it's okay. It's just slow as fuck, and it's kind of squishy, right? Like, you do die a lot on high-end, high-tier content. It's just not the greatest. They put out a handful of nerfs to this, which I don't think was needed at all because it wasn't that OP. It was strong. Don't get me wrong. It was strong, especially with the ancestral totems. It was strong, but it was not OP if you compare it to some of the other things we have. Those things are vastly more broken than this has ever been. So that nerf I felt was completely out of, it just didn't, it wasn't needed at all, honestly. Right. Alright, so next up I wrote, lineage support skills are super nice, don't get me wrong. I love the lineage support skills. There's some of them that are just absolutely amazing. Now, my problem is, though, that if you make a lineage support skill hyper-specific to one build archetype, and then you make it impossible to drop because it's in the, like, main drop pool. It's not something that's specific to a boss or something. So it's you basically can't get a hold of it, right? So let me give you an example. Ricciardo's Flow, in my opinion, is one of the strongest gems you can get, or even Diala's Desire, because these two could be used on any character archetype, on any skill, on any whatever. They could technically be used, right? Well, of course, you have to do elemental damage with this, but if you take Diala's Desire, this could technically be used on every single character, any skill, no matter what. There is not a single character that couldn't use this, right? Like, this is usable by everybody, basically, right? That's how I view it. Now, you make a skill that's hyper-specific to one thing, and then you make it impossible to drop. That makes no sense to me, right? So if we look at this one, and we see what the current price is, 46 dib. Okay, fair enough, you can use it on everything. It seems like a gem that should be expensive. Ricciardo's Flow, 19, you can use it for any elemental build. Perfect, right? Now I'm going to show you the problem is, once you go for something like this, 35% chance to load a bolt into your to all crossbow skills on dealing a killing blow with the supported skill. This is hyper specific to only crossbows. You cannot use this on a mace. You can't use this on a caster. You can't use, you know what I mean? This is just one specific thing you can use it for. Whereas this is for everything, basically. This is for all elemental builds. And those are so powerful. This one is powerful too, don't get it twisted, right? Like, when it comes to crossbow skills, this is by far one of the best gems. But the thing is that the gem is so rare that this gem costs 355 fucking divine, and it's hyper specific to one thing. You know what I mean? There is no point of making a gem that rare when it's so specific to one thing. That makes no sense to me. Like, it's just idiotic, because it just ruins the ability to actually play it. How many people of the regular people are ever going to be playing that? There is no chance you're playing that, because you're never going to have the kind of currency to actually get it. There's just no way. It's the majority of people are, like, I would say, casual players. They're never going to have 400 or 500 divines to spend on one gem. That's just not happening. Unless they drop a mirror of some kind, like, randomly, then sure. But having to rely on that is insane to me. I feel like it should be swapped around, right? Like, if you ask me, it should have been Diala's Desire that's fucking 300-400 divines, because you can use it on any build. But making that shit so rare, and then putting it in the global drop pool, and then making it so there's no way to, like, grind it out, you have to just fully rely on luck. Insane to me. Absolutely waste of time. Waste of a good gem. Sad, 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 sad. I cannot believe we went that direction. In general, I cannot believe it. The Durazo's Passion that I was just using on my banner build, for instance, right? This one, in my opinion, absolutely useless, because 50% less glory required doesn't do shit. It's still way too slow. Honestly, you could make that 300% and it probably still would feel slow, to be fair. Like, honestly, I don't get it. Like, why the fuck are we making something that doesn't actually fit into the idea? That's just not... It's beyond me. It's beyond me. But the worst one is by far the Ricciardo's Diala situation in comparison to the Arnune's, right? Or Arjun's Mellow. This is insane. It's insane that this is so expensive in comparison. Alright, so next up, let's talk about the tree. Well, that would be these... the Atlas tree right here, right? So... there is so much stuff wrong with this, in my opinion. Okay, so let me give you a couple examples, and that's because I've tested this on this league a lot. So specking into, like, I would say Shrines is one of the lesser evils of the tree. This actually does give you something that you can kind of like, okay, this is not too bad. Same goes for the essences. I would say these are the two best choices right now in terms of things that actually makes you feel like you're gaining something out of it, and things that makes you feel like that changed the gameplay in some kind of way, or it added something to the gameplay. I used to be fully spec'd into the spirits, because I kind of wanted to get Rite of Passage. So I was grinding, fully spec'd into that shit, and I never dropped it. And I was like, okay, never mind. I'll just unspec that and spec into the essences, and I'll just grind the essences instead. And once I unspec the Asmeri spirits, I got 2 Rite of Passage, like literally right after. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how is it better to not be spec'd into a mechanic than it is to be spec'd into the mechanic? That blows my mind. That actually blows my mind. So for, I think it was a week and a half or something like that, I grinded this shit, and I decided there's no way, there's no chance that I'm gonna keep on this one, because they are just not they're not that good. And then I swapped over to the essences. And once I swapped to the essences, I started making more currency, and I was like, oh, okay, this actually functions really well. And I see the essences pretty much every map. I feel like I'm getting something back from it. And then I get the Rite of Passage, and then I'm like, wow, I'm freaking out. What the fuck? That was lucky. And then 4 days later, I get another Rite of Passage. And I'm not even spec'd into them. And I'm like, okay, this makes 0 sense. I guess it's RNG related, so it's kind of luck, but still, that just does not seem quite right. And then I have the strong boxes. The strong boxes feels, I don't like them. I just don't like them. I feel like this shit. It just does. I spec'd into them. I wanted to get the unique Gambler's box, right? So I spec'd into all of that stuff, getting the researchers, getting the unique box, whatever. And I didn't get one. For 3 weeks, I didn't get one. Then I unspec'd all of it, and then boom, I started getting them. Oh, I got them back to back all the time, all of a sudden. So how the fuck is that? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. This almost feels like it has a negative effect rather than a positive effect. And I don't get why. I don't understand why. Then we have the exiles, which again, I spec'd into the exiles because I really wanted to get this one jewel that you get from having an exile be next to an abyss. And it can drop this jewel. Now, I got the jewels once I unspec'd the exiles, because they never, and I mean never, ever spawned anywhere near an abyss. And that's even though I used abyss maps, right? Like, and they still didn't spawn in the range, and you can't walk them over to the abyss and then get them to be affected. If they're not spawning within the certain radius of the abyss, it just does not matter. It does nothing. And currently, I just don't understand how the fuck we're making these things worse by when we put points into them. Then I unspec, and then I suddenly get the jewels. Then I suddenly get the exiles to spawn right on top of the abyss. I don't get it. As I said, I don't understand what the mechanic is doing. Once you press it, I'm confused on how it works. Like, it makes 0 sense to me. All right, so next up, well, let's just finish this out, because there's actually a couple other things I wrote down here. So expedition, fully spec'd into expedition, but coming to realize that after having played a bunch of expedition, I started realizing, well, it's good for XP, you could say, right? Like, it gives you extra monsters, so that part is nice. But in terms of loot, what can I say? I don't have a base from the recombinator, and I recombinated hundreds of bases. I don't have one base that I made into an item that I could use. Not one. 0. Because they all either they poofed, or they just didn't turn into anything worth using, right? Like, it just removed them too much that I kind of wanted, or like whatever. And the only thing from expedition I feel worth going for is the splinters to get the Wolfite, but besides that, there's literally no point in playing expedition. As you can see, I've spent a lot of these, and I still have a ton of them, right? Because I played a lot of expedition, and I find that the only thing that I use expedition for is two things, right? Get the splinters or gamble amulets, right? So either gamble amulets at Rook or gamble at Gwenin, and that's it. And what I do with them is I try to gamble an amulet that has projectile skills, spell skills, or something like that, right? So any of those things, yeah, like this one. This is one of the ones that I gambled with 3 melee skills. Sure, I'll keep that and I'll craft it, right? Because that seems usable, but the rest of it is ass. Like, it's so bad, and that sucks, man. It actually sucks. That expedition is this bad, because I feel like when we play expedition in PoE 1, it's actually insanely good. You get a lot of different currencies, you get a lot of different essences, you get a lot of different things just in general, and you can just pump it to the max to where it's kind of nearly impossible to kill them because they're so strong. But I really, really dislike how Expedition has turned out in PoE 2 in general. There's so many things wrong with it. We don't even have the Expedition logger. Like, there's just a headache after headache after headache, and a ton of reasons not to play that mechanic. Especially when we compare it to other mechanics, right? That goes kind of for the bossing too, right? Like, if we think about the Opender, I don't think, well, there is a jewel, but besides the jewel, there's not really a whole lot of reasons to do the Arbiter. It's kind of like a build tester, I would call it at the moment. It's not really something you want to grind, or at least I don't want to grind it. I don't find it super interesting, and I'm not super happy with the bosses either. Like, I love the fact they're in every map, but I just don't, the drops don't seem that good, honestly. Not when you compare it to other stuff. I still, in my opinion, the best things you can play is by far the Ritual and the Breach, and of course Delirium. That is like my 3 go-tos to make currency, basically. I feel like I make more currency from these 3 mechanics by themselves than I do like combining the bossing, the Arbiter, the Expedition, and this entire tree. I feel like these things, just one of them will make more currency than all that put together, and that's sad. That's sad to me. The PoE 1 tree is a lot more specific to certain mechanics. Feels a lot more rewarding when you do spec into a certain mechanic. You see that mechanic more, you get more loot from that mechanic, and it just doesn't feel like it translated quite right into PoE 2. That is a little bit sad. I wish it was different. Maybe we see a change this league. I'm not expecting anything. I expected a bunch of shit last time. I got extremely disappointed, and I'm just not gonna expect nothing. I'm gonna expect it to be bad, and then I can be like happily surprised, right? All right, so next up, we need a tablet tab ASAP if we're gonna stick with these stupid fucking tablets. I am still under the impression that these need to go, honestly. Get them the fuck out, or change them so it's map tablets, so I can take one of these, I can put it in a tower, and by putting it in a tower, I can then basically change the maps in the area to a specific map, right? So what I mean by that is, let's say we take this tower right here, and this tower, within this circle, I can then, let's say I like Hive, and then I have a tablet that says changes X amount of maps to Hive. So instead of this being spring, this changes to Hive, this changes to a Hive, this stays a Savannah, this changes to a Hive, this stays a whatever that is, this stays a spring, this goes to a Hive, this goes to a Hive, this stays deserted. You know what I mean? Like, if that's how the tablet works, I would be happy with them. I would love them. But the way they work currently, I hate them. Honestly, I hate these fucking tablets. Especially because they take up an incredible amount of space. Like, look, this is just simply tablet. Oh, four full stash tabs full of tablets to hold the tablets that I actually need and to continuously craft on them, because you want to 3-to-1 them, the bad ones, right? Like I always 3-to-1 the bad ones, and then I continuously craft on them till I get the ones that I need. 3-to-1 them, 3-to-1 them, add a mod, 3-to-1 them, 3-to-1 them, add a mod, you know what I mean? Over and over and over until I get the stuff that I really, really want. And yeah, I just don't like him at all, honestly. I would love to see them changed into map tablets instead. That just 10 maps within this map, like this tower, changes to X map, right? Like that would be awesome. I wouldn't mind that. That also means that I don't have to grind a bunch of shitty maps that I don't want to grind. I can just focus in on specific maps, but I still would have to do a couple of shitty maps every now and then, because it wouldn't, given how big this the circumference, like the circle is, right? There would always be some leftover maps that aren't the one that I want to play, and those I would still have to play in order to travel to the next area, basically, right? So it's not like you're just removing all the maps and making them all one map. That wouldn't happen. You would still have to play something you might not want to, but just in order to travel to the next tower. That would be, in my opinion, the better version of it. But not having a map, like an actual tab to them for them to go in, and you have to sacrifice so much of your stash tabs just to these fucking stupid tablets it's too much, man. And yeah, as you can see, I'm running out of space because I've literally filled up the entire stash with gear and stuff, and I have literally no space left at all. And yeah, so I would love a tab like this where you just plug them all in and you just have them sitting there so they don't take up that much space. Last but not least, number 10 would be a bottle currency, right? Like, so we have this bottle glass blower's bubble, which gives you a bottle extra percentage. So I take this, I can then add percentages to my bottle, and that way it gives me more mana or more life, right? That's awesome. It's specific to just the bottles. Lovely. Love that. What we do need is, I know they don't want to give us alteration orbs for our gear, because they don't want us to be able to just re-roll blue gear into perfect stats and then from there build on it. But what we do need is alteration glass blowers alterations, so we don't have to pick up 200-300 bottles to get one bottle that we want. The fact that I have to pick up hundreds of bottles to get to one bottle is fucking driving me nuts. Honestly, it's gotten to a point where I actually got really mad this league, because I had to continuously pick up these stupid fucking bottles and then roll them, not get the mods I want, throw it in the fucking trash. Next one, pick it up, roll it, throw it in the trash. Next one, pick it up, put 2 mods on, throw it in the trash. Pick it up, 2 mods on, throw it in the trash. And you can do that for fucking ever until you finally get the exact mods you want. Can we please just get a bottle specific alteration orb that lets me sit here and just click the same bottle over and over, so I don't have to pick up 600 or 300 bottles in order to get one bottle? That just makes no fucking sense to me. That should have been a thing from day one, in my opinion. It should never have gotten to this point where we are 3 leagues in technically, right? Or like 3 updates in, and we still don't have a solution for this fucking idiotic problem. And it goes for the charms as well, right? Like, you have to pick up the fucking charms, roll them, doesn't give you what you want, throw them out. Next one, roll them, doesn't give you what you want, throw them out. And you just continuously do that for hours and hours and hours and hours until you get what you want. And it's just, it's such a pain point that's so stupid and so fucking like pointless. There's no point to it when it comes to these like charms or bottles, right? In my opinion, there's no point to having to pick up hundreds of them. That just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just stupid. It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of currency. Just the whole way around is just waste. To waste time, to get me to sit here and do this more, right? And I don't want to do that. I want to go out, kill a monster, get some loot. I do not want to sit in my hideout clicking a button to try and fucking get a bottle to roll, and then, oh, okay, it didn't work. Next bottle, and I have my whole inventory full of fucking bottles. This one didn't work, next one. This one didn't, oh, next one. And it becomes too much. Really, really fast, it becomes way too much work for no reason. So that's the changes that I personally really fucking need to see from their side, willingness to change some of these things. I'm not expecting it to happen this league, but these are some things that needs to fucking change ASAP, in my opinion. We need to change these things as fast as freaking possible, because a lot of them are ruining the experience and making you want to quit before you should feel like you shouldn't feel burned out on the third day or like the fourth day. That's not a good sign. Right? Like, I don't feel like that's a good way to have the game set up. If you start feeling fatigued because you have these fences you have to jump over, basically, and they are like just constantly there, and it feels like it's blocking progression. I don't like that. I want to have some agency to where it doesn't block the progression. It just makes me, okay, I have to spend 15 minutes rolling a bottle with the same currency and keep rolling it until I hit the one that I want. I'm fine with that. Like, I can spend 15 minutes, but spending 4 hours having to roll bottles in order to get a bottle I want makes absolutely no sense to me. It's insane. It's doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome, which is literally it's literally psychosis, right? Like, that's actually the definition of that. And it's just stuff like that. I hate that. I really dislike stuff like that. I feel like that needs to go. And there's a handful of those type of mechanics put into the game currently that we just need to like get rid of, basically. Either get rid of them or make it change it in a way where we get more agency to fix it, right? That's my end all and be all in terms of current problems with PoE 2 and 10 things that I really, really want to see changed. And yeah, I see it from two perspectives here. I played a lot of solo. I played a lot of group play, public games. So I get to see all the different aspects of the game. I'm not super narrow-minded, so I can only see it from a solo self-found perspective. I'm not super narrow-minded, so I can only see it from a group play perspective. I've done multiple sides of the game, so I get kind of all the aspects. Plus, I've talked with a ton of in public game, I talked with a ton of people about these problems, and there is so many people that agree. I would say it's probably 85 to 95% of people agree with what I'm saying here. And if that's the reality, we need to change it, right? Like, that's how I view it. We need to turn the ship around so it doesn't feel nearly as bad. And I haven't talked about any of the content in terms of like in-game content and mechanics like that in specific, because the game is not out yet. So judging certain things while we're missing like tons of mechanics and we're missing bosses. They clearly said there was going to be multiple breach bosses, for instance. There's going to be like multiple Uber bosses, stuff like that. I don't want to judge that part yet. I do agree that the end game is lacking just flavor in general, but I'm not going to point it out because they're still working on that, right? But I am going to point out the problems that's now, and there's been a problem, some of them from day one, right? So those problems, in my opinion, are more solvable than having like, oh, I don't like the end game because there's not enough to do. That's pointless because the game is not even halfway finished. So of course there's not enough to do. That's obvious. That's what we all agreed to by playing it in early access. So this is the time where we need to fix the problems that's actual problems, and then let them cook up all the end game stuff and all the new mechanics and stuff like that. Give them time to cook that shit up, right? Because that, if we force them to put out stuff that's not ready, then it'll be a worse feeling in the end. That's how I view it. I would feel better playing the same exact league over and everything works perfectly, right? If all these problems are removed, that I just talked about, and the game runs perfectly, I wouldn't mind having to play Abyss again. You know what I mean? Like I'll play the fucking Abyss League for 2 months, no problem. It wouldn't be a problem for me, as long as I feel like the overall game plays well and there's not a bunch of problems and a bunch of hurdles I have to jump over constantly to try and get to this point, because it's just blocking my path to progression. I don't like that. And that's the reason I want to quit. It's not the mechanics or the end game. It's those features are what's making me want to quit the game. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. If you want to see more from me, of course, I'm going to be live streaming this stuff. This was a long video. I know it's going to take me a long time to edit, and I'm sorry for ranting, because that is what this was, kind of. I feel like I pointed out things and gave them possible solutions to them. So not just a rant, but coming with some ideas too. If you have some suggestions, if you have some problems, if you have some things that you really want me to highlight, please put that in the comments. I will definitely take that into account for the next time I make a video like this. As I said, I've talked to a ton of people in public games, and this is where a lot of these things come from, along with my own experiences. So yeah, do that, please. Share the video if you want to. It's free. It's free to subscribe. I don't ask anything. And yeah, I love you guys. Hope you all have a good day, good evening, whatever it might be for you. And I will see you all in the next one.